the imperative to let life in and stop defending so much against life or against what we feel. Life's not, this life is precious in many ways, did we but know it. On the spiritual journey, in many ways, even on the non-spiritual journey, to look at our lives and see where the heart is closed to life, closed in defensiveness, because as long as the heart is encased, defended, walled, protected, then the mind inevitably jumps in to compensate, as if saying, yes, it's okay, we'll keep that sense of vulnerability or overwhelm or openness, sensitivity, we'll keep that at bay, and I know how. And then we can create an entire monolith, an entire structure, an entire way of being in the world, just through our thinking, the thinking that compensates for our attempt to keep the heart protected. But this is a great diminishment of our lives, and actually a great missing, a great sorrow for the life of a human in many ways. Not only, but a lot, is to surely to open the heart and to feel what that is, because it changes everything. It stops thinking being the center of our way of being in the world. It loosens the divide between us and the world. We start to let life into us, to touch us deeply, not in a way that diminishes us or leaves us, fragile or open to abuse, or, which is the mind says, if you open your heart, you're going to be a victim of life and open to all sorts of abuse. But that's not what happens at all. That's a mind version of what actually happens. That's a strategy to say don't do it for some reason, because it's too much, because of the sense that it's too much and too vulnerable, and etc., etc. But what actually happens is something far, far different. What actually happens is that you start feeling the truth, start feeling life, start feeling your own life. Yes, it comes at first if one has lived from defended heart, and most have and most do live from defended heart because they don't want to go there. But on the spiritual journey, we are called to go there. We may not like that we're called to go there, but in many ways we are called to go there. And what that means is that as soon as we start embracing or allowing the possibility of opening our heart to life, then the floodgates may open and the past pours into it. And that's the purification that I've talked about in previous videos, and I'm not the only one, of course. But that doesn't stay forever. What happens is that there's a great relief, a great merging with life, a great allowing of life, the ability to feel without defendedness, the ability to feel life, other people, without mind stepping in with its incessant judgment or projection or defendedness or opinion or narrative that it wants to tell. It just becomes more raw, more real. We hear the word more raw and it's like, well, I really don't want that because I feel, bad enough or sensitive enough anyway. But half of the issue with all of that is actually not that one is feeling too much, but one is somehow resisting feeling too much and giving a name to it. There's a different way of living. It's an open way of living. It does develop a deeper capacity in us where we let go of certain ideas, we let go of certain ways of thinking about how it should be and how we should be. And actually we admit to ourselves something deeper, some sensitivity, some openness. This is an imperative in our lives, not on our lives, on the spiritual path. I said this is essential on the spiritual path, but it's essential on the human path. Because if we live a life that hasn't let life in, we haven't lived a life. We've sort of defended our way through life. Who wants to do that? Why would we want to do that? The tenderness, the openness, the sheer texture of life when it's allowed in, the sheer taste of our feeling nature when it's no longer defended is exquisite. And to be unafraid of our own humanity is grace. To be willing to meet the world with its suffering, with our suffering, is depth. These are all qualities of maturation that make us, deep, the deep rivers of beauty that we are. And it does involve, of course, it does involve diving in, diving down, allowing, opening up where the habit is to close down. One is never, I'm not talking about being kind of stupid or negligent with oneself, but I am inviting a deeper curiosity, a deeper allowing. Of course. To stop living so much by control. Because, if one wants to live a little more, juicily, truthfully, honestly, sincerely, openly, tenderly, then something has to transform, something has to change. We have to change. And what we've been taught, what we've learned, and the ways of the world, so obvious, we sort of have to, in a way, turn our back on some of that, some of those ritualized games, some of those modes and codes of behavior, some of the moral, pressures to just be like this, to just be a certain way. And to say, no, that doesn't work for me. I'm I'm going in. I'm going deep. I'm going to open the heart. Open it up to the tenderness within. It doesn't kill us. It heals us. This is a healing invitation. And there is a pain involved, but don't be frightened of pain. Pain is there whether we deny it or we open to it. It's either a hidden pain that comes out, vicariously or in a hidden way, but still the pain is there. Or there's the pain of saying yes. There's the pain of saying no, which creates a shadow. Or there's the pain of saying yes, which embraces the light. So the no or the yes. Ultimately, this is not just the spiritual thing. This is a very human thing. Because the turning from the no towards the yes ultimately brings us back to this. The union of us, the wholeness of us, the harmony of us, where we're not split up into this factionalism within ourselves that only manifests in the world anyway. The no and the yes become kind of okay within us. But first we have to go on the journey. Say yes. Saying yes to life. Saying yes to love. Saying yes to open-heartedness. I hope this has spoken to you.